Guys, the Scat Pack is getting towed. Now, it's not getting towed because it's going to go off to the shop or anything, but I'm actually 4 months late on my payments. I know it can be kind of embarrassing, but, I'm just going to put it out there because the car channel is going to go away, so there's no point in...
Me and my husband had to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and they are taking my car, which was a little alarming at first, but she's fallen apart. So, you know what? Take her.
I f***ed up. Now, as some of you may know, about this time last year, I bought a Toyota Chaser. Obviously, I didn't buy that on apprenticeship wages. So what I did was start going for a loan. Look, my bank didn't want to give me a loan for the amount I was looking for, so I ended up going to a finance company. Obviously, when it comes to finance companies and getting your own personal loans, comes with an interest rate. And with my credit score, they told me I could get a $36,000 loan with a 15% interest rate.
Hi, so we'll be watching the worst car loans I've seen this year. Let's go.
Me and my husband had to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and they are taking my car, which was a little alarming at first, but she's fallen apart. So, you know what? Take her. Here's my plea. I need help finding a car. If you know someone who works at a car dealership in Utah that can help me out and that specializes in financing a car loan after bankruptcy, send them my way. Thank you.
I really wonder why she's going for another loan just after filing for bankruptcy. If I was her, I'd save some money with my partner and buy a car cash. You can easily have a good car for 8-10K. You don't need a Mercedes or a Beamer to go from point A to point B. So let's go straight to the comments. The first one says, you are debt free after filing bankruptcy, and now you want a car loan to start the debt process all over again. Yeah, I guess some people never learn from their mistakes. The second comment says, buying a car after filing helps you rebuild your credit. There is no shame in getting a fresh start. Yes, you can ask for a loan, but when you ask for a loan, make sure that loan is manageable. It's in your means. So if it is a 7K loan, it's pretty reasonable. You can still pay it without filing for another bankruptcy while having a car that is working and that won't leave you on a highway because it's too old or something like that. Yeah, and someone just said the same thing. Buy an older used car you can afford. I'm driving around with an '05 Subaru, no payment. And she said, our issue isn't being able to afford it, but thank you though. Yes, so I wonder why did she file for bankruptcy? Because if you have enough money, you should be able to manage the monthly payments. And you have this one also regretting why he got a car loan. Let's watch it.
I regret getting a car note. And it's not even because I might not have the money to pay my payment or something like that. I really just regret getting one because it's just very inconvenient and it be in the way. It's just really an unnecessary bill. And it really showed me that when you get a car note, it's because you want something nice and you can't afford it, and leasing and credit and stuff like that, it makes a way so you can get things that you want that you can't afford. But it's them payments be in a way. It most definitely be in a way, and especially at my age because there's so much I want to do. If I ain't gonna lie, if I could today, I would let come pick that car up and I would go save my money and go buy me another car. Just because it just be in a way for real. And this is really for the people that's thinking about getting one. It's not for people that already have one. I mean, yeah, use the comments to speak your truth.
Yep, so these car loans, most people, they have to downgrade their lifestyle, their whole lifestyle in order to be able to afford the monthly payments. That's why I wonder, is it really worth it when you have to sacrifice all your life? Let's say you live off ramen noodles, you can't go out with your friends, you can't build up savings or a 401k just in order to flex with a car that you can't even afford to maintain. So let's go in the comments. The first one says, getting a cash car was the best thing I ever did for myself and my pockets. Yes, my first car is a 2015 Jeep Cherokee, a normal one. I bought it 10,000 Canadian, and it's one of the best purchases I've ever made because that car was so cheap. 10K Canadian is around maybe 8,000 USD, and I was expecting the car to have a lot of problems. I was expecting to buy new parts every 3 months because that deal was so good. I bought it from a mechanic, and the fact that I didn't have to pay interest on the top of the price made me save a lot of money. So there is another comment that says, I don't mind the payments. Honestly, I like nice things, so I'm gonna pay for them. The question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your future? When I say future, I mean your savings, your 401k. Are you willing to sacrifice your youth? Because, for example, right now, if you wanted to go out or travel with your friends, go for a hiking, most activities you need to pay a lot of money nowadays. So you're going to sacrifice the present, you're going to sacrifice the future for just the pleasure of driving a car. Me, I'm a fan of cars, of nice cars. I love them. But the question is, right now, I'd be able to afford one, but I wouldn't be able to afford it comfortably. I like having a car that when I see something blinking on the gauge, a light blinking, I wouldn't be stressed or have a heart attack because I would be able to afford the part or the repair fees when it needs to.
I just turned 19 and I have a $17,000 car loan. I want out of this car loan so bad that it doesn't make any type of sense. But I kind of feel like I'm at a rock and a hard place because if I was to trade in, I'm like $12,000 worth of negative equity. I don't even know how to get out of stuff like this because majority of the time people tell you a large tree. I'm not bold enough for all that. Truthfully, I probably should have listened when they was like, get a cash card. Probably should have done that because I just don't feel like it's worth the extra like $400 a month. Really more than that because it's really like, it's costing me like $1,000 a month just to keep this car. And if I'm paying $1,000 a month, I want something newer instead of a 2015 Nissan.
So the people who are pretty in their teens, those are the ones that are the most lucky because they can invest that amount of money and retire way earlier than some of us. Unfortunately, I don't think they have like the real guidance, parents that gives them financial advice about how to manage their money. Because it baffles me the fact that whenever you see someone who's early 20s, late teens, whenever they have some money, the first thing they do is just blow it up on a car and never think about their future. And especially nowadays with the massive layoffs, sometimes you get laid off without even deserving it. It's not about the performance or anything. It's just your department getting erased because a managerial decision, but that decision doesn't come from you. You are not responsible for what happens. So the first comment says, a rack a month for 2015 Nissan is diabolical. Yes, I'm pretty sure her credit score must be bad. That's why the car payment is this high. Because they be giving her huge interest. But Nissan? I don't think that's a good choice. At least to take a Beamer or a Mercedes. And you have a second comment that says, get a second job, lock in for a year. I mean, if you did that for an appreciating asset, it would be smart. You know, if it was to, let's say, max out your TFSA, then I'd suggest it. But when you lock in for a year, because you're locking for a year, you take care of the car payments, that's when the problem starts coming with the car. Because nowadays the car are way more fragile, they are way more unreliable because the dealers, they make a lot of money selling you the parts you are supposed to replace. So another comment says, girl, you could have got a 2025 with a $400 a month. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that she has to pay $1,000 because the interest must have been high because she's a high risk payer. Why? Because her credit score is probably low. Because that's the only reason that would make sense for you to pay $1,000 for a 2015 Nissan. That 50K car loan that you finally paid off after 5 years ended up costing you 64K interest. That car is now worth 25,000 due to depreciation. Losing 39K in 5 years. Is a new car really worth it? And in the comments, you have someone who said that lunch you paid $15 for is now $0 after you ate it. Is it worth it? We're going to see how many lunch you can have with a $14,000 interest. I'm not even talking about the whole price of the car, but only the extra you pay for interest. So if you take 14,000, you divide it for 15 with $15, it gives you 933. 933 means that you can have free lunch for 2.5 days with the interest only. Imagine someone is buying you lunch for 2.5 days straight. Someone said, some of us don't care. Life depreciates. Not everything needs to make money. Tomorrow isn't promised, so provided you can afford it, do what makes you happy. The problem is most people, they can't afford these car payments. That's why they're on the internet complaining about it. And the fact that if tomorrow is promised and you have a huge car payment you can't afford, you screwed. Another one said, I pay for new cars in cash, then I immediately start saving for the next one. I make interest, not pay. Yep, this is how you save interest. You avoid paying interest, but also this means that he can afford the car, so because he's able to save money. He can invest it and later buy another car, or he can just save it and buy straight away. So this creator just said, she doesn't know it yet, but her rental car business will fail and she will lose everything and file for bankruptcy. Yep, the problem with glamorized business is it's way harder to make money, like nightclubs, restaurants, car rental. Those are industries that are extremely competitive because everyone wants to do it. And for example, for this type of business, the fact that you get to drive amazing cars for a living, everyone wants to do that. That's why you're going to get your foot in an extremely competitive industry, and you don't have the freedom to stay a while without having clients, because you need those clients to pay for the renting cars, and you're going to use that money to cover the monthly expenses of the car, so including the insurance, the parts, the monthly payment, etc. In the comments, someone said, remember, many businesses file for bankruptcy and then rebrand and relaunch. If they can do it, so can you. In this life, you gotta learn from your mistake. So if you make a mistake, it should be a lesson. You shouldn't repeat it, because if you repeat it, you're gonna have the same exact result. Another one said in the comments, get rich or die trying, try again, future billionaire. Yeah, when you try, you should take the time to reevaluate what went wrong and what you should change, what information, because that failure, you're gonna learn a lot from it. And that experience, you gotta use it in the future to avoid repeating those mistakes. So ask yourself, what did I do wrong? What did I do well? And you take those answers, you combine them, and you start building a good business.
You know, at some point, we have to stop coming on here and screaming that having a car payment is bad and that you should never have one, because I think that is a privileged way of thinking. Not everyone has a car available that they can borrow to get to and from work. Not everyone has people that are willing to take them to and from work. Not a lot of people have public transportation accessible to them that can get them to and from work while they save for a car. Having a car payment are some people's only way of getting to work and staying afloat.
The car payment is definitely okay, but a car payment over 1K is not. Yeah, that's true. If you want a car that takes you from point A to point B, you don't have to pay 1K a month. Like when you pay 1K a month, you pay for the luxury, for the way that car makes you feel, but it's not for practicality. Because if you want to just transport, you can have it for 8K, and 8K is better to pay it cash. You won't have interest. So another comment said, there is nothing wrong with a car payment, but when the payment is $500 and insurance is $300, you gotta reevaluate life a little. I agree. Another one said, people will flex a car that's paid off, but that shakes and rattles and screeches going down the road. You can pay for a cheap car without struggling with maintenance or parts with a reliable car. Honda, Toyota, I'm not sponsored by them, but those are amazing brands that are cheap, the parts are cheap, and they're reliable. So you don't, because you need to find a balance. Okay, I'm not telling you to buy a $2,000 car, because when you buy a $2,000 car, it is a huge risk. Okay, you're saving in the short term, but you might lose more in the long term. When I tell you you need to find balance, is you don't also have to buy an extremely expensive car like 40, 60K. You can find yourself a good used car that was well maintained for 10K.
Hi, I'm Libby. I make over $100,000 and my husband is giving me $1,000 a month to help pay off my debt. And here's why. I've actually been together since 2019 and he has seen my debt payoff journey right from the beginning when I graduated college with more than $60,000 worth of debt, which at the time was a combination of student loans and a car loan. I almost had no car payment at all. Then we got in a car accident and my Ford Focus that had a 2% interest rate that I owed about $4,000 on was totaled. If you've ever been the driver in a car accident before, then I'm sure you can relate to the car trauma that I came out of that accident with. I knew that I needed a car that made me feel safe, so I went with a 2019 Jeep Compass and paying off the minimum monthly payments on that car loan, which comes out to about $490 with my almost 9% interest rate. In July of this year, after we got married, we sat down and visualized what would the first year of our marriage look like and what did we want to accomplish. It was a no-brainer that becoming debt-free would be the first thing we would tackle in our first year of marriage. Following this decision and starting this past August, I made major changes to my budget in order to put $2,500 of my own paycheck toward that debt every month. Being the angel my husband is, and the fact that he is debt-free himself, he offered to give $1,000 of his own money each month to contribute toward paying down that loan faster. Both of our efforts combined, we set ourselves on a payoff date of the end of January 2025. And with the way that we're tracking our progress, it looks like we may even be able to pull that in by the end of this year. As always, if you have any questions, let me know.
This is why it's really extremely important to know the amount of debt and the credit score your partner has before you marry that person. Because when you start having project with that person, let's say you want to build a house and your credit score is amazing, if his or hers is not good, you're gonna struggle to get a loan to build that house. It is the same thing when it comes to car. If that person comes and has a negative equity, has a huge loan, that loan will be shared between you and that person. You won't watch that person struggle financially. You'll have to chip in, you'll have to help because she's or he's your partner. So that's why it's extremely important to ask those taboo questions before getting married. What is your credit score? How much do you make? What is your loans? Then after that, when you have those information, you can start strategizing and observe their spending habits. Are they compulsive buyers? Are they trying to crawl out of debt? Is their degree going to make them more money? Yeah, in the comments, someone said my monthly salary is $2,500. Yeah, her payment, her car payment is as much as the monthly salary of this person. It shows how people live in different realities. Someone else said, I can understand the concept of our money, but I also love having mine and he having his. Of course, big expenses or investments are discussed, but we don't need to sweat the small stuff by combining. So if the girl we just watched took $500 and bought a simple car, let's say normal simple car that works, and she takes the remaining $2,000 and she start investing it in an ETF or index, in 20 years she's going to make $1,500,000. So if she was in her 30s, she'd be able to retire in her 50s. And this is why car manufacturers are trying to price us out from buying their car with cash. They want to increase the prices of the car so high that every single person needs to rely on a monthly payment in order to get that car. And monthly payments work as subscription. It makes a lot of money for these manufacturers because the interest, but also the depreciation. You'll keep paying for the premium price 5 years later after the car depreciates. So you should have been able to pay less if you waited 5 years, but you keep paying the same amount of money plus interest while the car is losing its value.
Y'all, I cannot be getting behind these $700 car payments. Every time I work on budgets and I see any car payment, even above like $600, I want to like choke on my own vomit. And before you say, Jess, the average car is like $35,000. I don't care. You don't need a $35,000 car. You want a $35,000 car. The most expensive car I ever bought was a 2015 Mazda 3. I bought it in 2016 for $14,000, like walking out the door, and my car payment was $315.15. And I thought that was a lot, and it really isn't. Nowadays, with my income and everything, I would say, like, I don't think I'd be comfortable paying more than $450. $500 is pushing it. And some of you are willing to have $700 plus car payments. Not only that, I've seen people with car payments like more than some people's mortgages. I've seen people come with car payments like $1,400. For $1,400, I better be able to live in that thing.
And she's right. The fact is that people are trying to rationalize their poor decisions when it comes to buying a car. I don't know, you probably remember the last girl, she said she needed a more expensive car to feel safe because the last car she didn't felt safe in that car. So what? She started paying $2,500 for a new car. But the question is, are the new cars as reliable as she thinks? Maybe you can go to YouTube, see a lot of marketing videos. But to be honest, I'd rather have like a Toyota pickup, those you see in the Middle East, and pay, let's say, $200 a month. I don't even think it's gonna reach that price, but let's see the worst case scenario. Than having to buy a Mercedes GLE 63 that costs around $1,000 or $1,400, including the insurance and all of that. In the comments, someone said, some don't have a choice. You have the choice to choose the price range of the car. You have the choice to lower your monthly payment. You have the choice of lowering your insurance by negotiating, by having a car that is not easy to steal, by having a reliable car, by having a car that is cheap. Someone else said, imagine if people invested half of that payment. Yep, that's the simulation that I did. You take those $2,000, you invest it 20 years, you become a millionaire. You good, you can retire. Another one said, car payment is $350 on a brand new 2023. Lol, I wasn't budgeting for more than that. And so the creator answered, and people are acting like a $700 payment is necessity. Yep, this is why the car manufacturers aren't dropping the prices, because they see that people are still being able to afford their car. Even though their monthly payment, they're still buying it. So why would they lower the prices? The only moment when they will lower their prices is when the demand goes down. And right now, and this reminds me also why the government doesn't take people seriously when they complain about the cost of living. Because as long as the people are spending enough money, why would the government need to help them when they see that everyone, not everyone, but most people are buying luxurious car? If they don't buy luxurious car, they have a huge mortgage, and the companies aren't struggling financially because people are still spending in those companies. Why would the government need to unlock a budget to financially help?
Today I'm going to be doing something that I've been wanting to do, and it's been a big goal of mine since last year. I'm going to be paying off my car. I currently have a Kia Telluride 2024. We got it when I was pregnant with my firstborn because we didn't have like a family car. I used to have a Tesla, and then the value of it downgraded so much that we ended up paying so much more for the Kia than we actually needed to, which is crazy, but you live and you learn. Didn't always get paid on social media, but I have been doing it for 6 years, and we've been able to save up some money. I've been debating whether to just put it into the car, but I have that feeling of owning our family car. We do have a Honda, which I've had since I was 18 years old. I am now 25. I have our family car and our little gas saver, and I am just so excited to officially own both of them. So let's go ahead and go pay off my Kia.
The question is, why do one person needs two cars? You have the gas saver. The fact that she has a gas saver and another car means that one car is not doing its job properly, because when your car isn't supposed to cost you too much when it comes to gas saving, except if you can afford it. If you are rich, okay, you can use it as daily, but from what I understand, she has a daily car and she has a luxurious car, and she tried to pay both. If she took this $50K and she invested it, her life would be so much better. She'd probably be able to quit her job. She'd probably be able to pay for the student loan of her kids.
America's auto loan crisis is exploding, and it's not just subprime borrowers that are feeling the pain. Right now, U.S. auto loan debt has hit a record $1.66 trillion, with some delinquency, default, and repossession figures looking similar to what we saw back in 2008. A new report from the Consumer Federation of America warns that the system is, quote, at a breaking point, and they're criticizing regulators for not doing enough to fix it. Monthly automotive payments have spiked, averaging $745 a month, with 1 in 5 buyers shelling out $1,000 or more every month. High interest rates are pushing budgets, and with the $7,500 EV tax credit about to vanish, the squeeze could get even tighter. What might be most surprising is that even prime borrowers, people with really strong credit, are struggling. They're now twice as likely to fall behind compared to pre-2020. Younger buyers are defaulting in high numbers, and repossessions across all age groups spiked 43% between 2022 and 2024, according to data from Cox Automotive. Experts are warning that this isn't just about cars, but because most Americans will prioritize car payments over other bills, soaring delinquency rates could be flashing red lights for the entire economy. Personally, and some may disagree, but I think the answer simply lies in people making smarter buying decisions, especially when it comes to vehicles. Either way, America's auto loan problem seems to be spiraling out of control.
In the comments, someone said, maybe manufacturers should stop charging $80K for a pretty mainstream pickup. As long as people are buying this pickup for $80K, why would they charge less? It's the law of offer and demand. If the demand is here, they keep the prices. If the demand starts lowering, then they start adjusting. But until then, I don't see it. It wouldn't make sense for them to lower the prices. It's like giving away free money. And these companies are here to make as much money as they can. Even if you can't pay them cash, no problem. They can wait 10 years if you have to. Someone else has said, lower the interest rates. Why would they? People are accepting 14% interest rate. Why would they? It's free money for them. If we really want them to lower the interest rate, the car prices, we need to stop buying them. Because when you vote with your wallet, it sends a clear message to companies. They come in the earning calls and say, we sold less, 30% less than last year. What are the plans? The plans are, we're going to reduce the prices. That's how it works. But as long as you are not voting with your wallet, no matter how much you complain, they will never ever listen to you. Someone else said, get rid of dealerships. Manufacturer sells direct to consumers with service centers. It's been proven to work with EV companies, and I have personal experience working at Rivian. Yes, it works when they have competition, but the problem is when you have the car manufacturer that doesn't have dealerships, there won't be competition. So you will have to pay the price that the car manufacturer set, and there is nothing you can do about it. You can't. If you want a BMW X6 and you can only buy it from BMW, you'll have to pay the price they'll tell you to pay. Or else you won't have any other choices, because the car dealerships, they don't exist anymore. But when you have car dealerships, you can use that as a leverage. For example, me, I just bought a dirt bike last year. What I did was I went on the internet, I saw a lot of annonces, and I chose the dealership that was close to me. But the problem is, he wanted to put a $400 markup. So what I did is I took a screenshot from another dealer's app showing that he's selling this bike, same year, for $400 less. When I sent it to the dealership that is close to my location, he didn't even negotiate. He told me, okay, $400 less. So this is it. I hope you really enjoyed the video. See you soon. Take care. Ciao.